All right, y'all. So this is 5.2, settlement patterns and survey methods. So we're going to look at, how people settle within an area. Is it kind of tucked in together? Is it dispersed? And then we're going to look at how different survey methods have been used. So should be a pretty short one. All right. So here's what we're going for. Specific agricultural practices shape different rural land use patterns. And so different types of settlement patterns are going to be clustered, dispersed, or linear. And then the different types of survey methods include mates and bounds, township and range, and long lots. So we're familiar with these terms in a different context. Township and range we also did at the beginning. So when we look at rural settlement patterns, we have a couple of different ones. So obviously we have linear there. So if there's some main corridor here, everybody kind of lines up along there. Nucleated, we'll just call that clustered. All right. And then we have dispersed, where people are kind of all spread out. All right. So this would be an example of a clustered settlement pattern. You can see everybody's kind of packed in together. Uh, so let's see, rural number of families live in close proximity with fields surrounding the collection of houses and farm buildings. It reflects historical circumstances, nature of the land, economic conditions, cultural characteristics. So you can see everybody lives in one area, and then all around them is the agriculture. All right. So that would be a clustered settlement, everybody packed in. All right. Linear rural settlement. Again, we're familiar with these terms. And so you can see here's like the main road or two main roads here, and everybody is lined up along this road. So that's how, and we're going to get to what these are in just a second. It's called a long lot. So these often go together. But anyway, so that's what a linear rural settlement is. It could be based on a river, it could be based on different roads, depends, a railroad, whatever. But it is when they are lined up, when people settle along this line. All right. And then we have a dispersed pattern. Again, if you look here, people are dispersed in different spots. This is still, we would still call this a dispersed settlement. They're not packed in. If you go back here, that's very packed in. That's about as packed in as you can get. But this would be a dispersed settlement. They are scattered around. Number of separate farmsteads scattered throughout the area. So those are the different types of settlement patterns. And then the survey methods, we've got three different types. One is called meets and bounds. So this was kind of the early way to, and when we talk about survey methods, we're trying to figure out, okay, you own this part and you own this part. And so how do we go about figuring out exactly who owns what? And so meets and bounds was one of those, the first survey methods. And it would use physical characteristics. So, it would say, look, here's a creek. And so you own from this spot up to Spring Hill. So we've got a natural landmarker there, over to this big oak tree, and then back straight down to this rock. All right. And so you don't have, it's not like a grid kind of pattern thing. It could, you could have a tree here and then something here and then something here, and then you can say, okay, you own from here over, and so you kind of get the idea. And so if you look down here, if these outlines are uh, the lines of ownership of different properties, and it's not necessarily, but so this person might say, okay, we go up to here, and then we kind of come around, and so you get kind of odder shaped looking land areas, plots. So anyway, uh, and so that's what mates and bounds is. Again, it's just identified by natural landmarks. That's kind of the key here. So you might make sure you write that down in your definition. Township and range, this is one that we've done earlier. So this was created by Thomas Jefferson. And so if you recall, these are all one square mile. All right. And so we break this up into, 36, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 36 square miles. And so you'd overlay this onto a land area. And so that would be how you kind of identify this. And again, you don't need to know all of the specifics of it, but we'd say, look, okay, here's plot 24. Let's break that up. And so we can break plot 24 up. Remember, this is at 1 square mile, and we can cut that into fourths, and then we can cut that one into fourths. And this is this is what township and range looks like. And again, this is Tucson. There's botanical gardens, so Alvernon. Just so you get a sense, there's Swan. Where's Fifth? So yeah, there's our school. So anyway, so you get the idea. So that's what a township and range is, and it makes it easier to identify who owns what. And when you drive around Tucson, just so you know, and I think I said this in another video, but here's Speedway. All of these roads, all the major roads are a mile apart. So there's our square mile, basically. That's probably a little bit more, but so like that might be the square mile. Then we can break that up. And so Tucson is very much laid out in this way, a grid pattern. And then finally, we have this idea of what they call a long lot survey system. And so this was a way to give everybody a fair amount of land that still wanted to stay generally together. And so this would be like the farmhouses, right? So this is a river or a road, river in this case. And so we'll say, look, to this person, we're going to give you all this land back here. And so it gives them a fair amount of land to farm, but it does keep people close together. All right. And so, if you own this house in this plot, this might be what you farm. And so, even though it's very narrow, it does go very long. And so, it allows farmers to actually have a fair amount of farmland, but still stay close to other people. All right. And so, if we look at this down here, this would be a long lot. So you can kind of make out the patterns here of the land. And so, one person might own this stretch right there. And then they would have access to the river and they could put their goods on it and ship it there. All right. So believe it or not, that's it for 5.2. Yeah, too bad they're not all that short. All righty. Y'all take care.